Unscripted, unfiltered, unafraid. Welcome to the Macworld podcast. My name is Michael Simon, and I am joined, as always, by my colleague Jason Cross.
Good morning.
And our producer, Roman Loyola.
Ahoy there.
This is episode number 960, which we're getting close to 1,000. What do we got? Less than a year?
40 weeks,
right?
yeah.
40 weeks, yeah.
If we do one a week, yeah.
Yeah, well, generally.
We take the odd week off.
We're already taking a week off.
Yeah, actually, we're taking off next week. Next week is Thanksgiving in the U.S., so we're taking it off to, eat turkey and stuff. But this week, we're going to talk about what we're thankful for in 2025. Whatever Apple did, things that we bought, things that we like, things that we appreciate. And at the end of the show, we'll have a couple of segments. A new one because we have Black Friday coming up next week as well, what we're buying this week in Apple history. And we will close with our reader mailbag. Readers, listeners, you can contact us through, we should call it our listener mailbag, shouldn't we? We say reader, but they're not really reading the podcast.
No.
I should probably change
just mailbag. Some are watching, some are listening, some are...
Yeah, we do get emails and comments from articles we post on the website.
That's true.
So
that's a good point.
Just mailbag.
We're more than just a podcast. We're a media empire.
9 weeks into our new format, and we're still making changes.
It's also not mail and not a bag, so it doesn't
right.
really
That's a good point.
It's just...
Well, however
I wanted
you want
to call the
it.
segment inbox, but that's,
Inbox makes a lot more sense. I'm going to change it, Jason. The next time, episode 961, we're going to have our...
If we want to get pedantic about it, sometimes the comments come from our videos, and that's not an inbox.
They're comment threads and stuff, so...
It's not a bag or a box.
Wow. Whatever you're sending your messages to, you can contact us through Blue Sky, Facebook, or Threads. Search for the Macworld. Search for Macworld and look for the Blue Mouse logo. You can send emails to podcast@macworld.com. As we said, you can comment under videos on TikTok and YouTube, whatever. Just write something and we'll find it. Tell us what you're thankful for. Tell us what you're buying on Black Friday, and we'll talk about the most interesting comments next week. Okay.
2 weeks.
That's right. 2 weeks. All right, Roman. You have a thing you want to talk about before we start. So when we were planning the show, we kind of throw around ideas, and it's not really this week in Apple history, but it's an interesting little historical thing. So 3 minutes, Roman, you got it. What's up?
Oh, well, it'd be less than 3 minutes. Are we talking about the Windows thing?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah. So the 40th anniversary of Windows is coming up. I think it's November 20th. So, I mean,
this is the anniversary of all right, we're done. Onto the show. This is the anniversary of the MS-DOS Windows, like the early incarnation of Windows, or... Because the other one was Windows 95. Is that 40 years?
No, yeah. I believe it's the very first Windows, right?
Yeah. Windows 1.0. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. So the thing that just had a bunch of command lines on a screen.
Yeah.
And that's how you got to your stuff.
Yeah. I never used that version of Windows. Did either of you guys use that version of Windows?
I mean, I was 3 years old, man.
So there was a 1.0, and then something like 1.01 was what came out in retail in November.
Yeah.
So that's the 40th sort of anniversary is this year. So it's either a couple months ago or it's this month, depending on what you're looking at. And yeah, that was 1985, and nobody really used Windows till Windows 3. Was it
3.1? Yeah,
3.1 or whatever. Windows for Workgroups, and then of course Windows 95 it blew up.
Right.
Because then it wasn't
that I remember. Yeah,
it wasn't something that loaded on top of DOS where you had to launch a command line to get to Windows and didn't have net. It was the fundamental operating system, like a whole new thing, right? Yeah, and that gave you the start menu and all the things that are with us today.
The whole graphical user interface, like Apple was doing it, but Windows 95 brought it to the world.
Windows 1 Yeah, Windows 1 did that. That's what Windows was. You started with command line and you launched Windows to get a graphical interface, a graphical user interface. So that was all the way back from the beginning. But Windows 95 took away the thing where it ran on top of DOS, where you had to like launch it from a command line and all that stuff. It was the operating system.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Was that the start?
40 years of Windows.
Was Windows 95 the Start Me Up Rolling Stone?
Yes. Because that was when they introduced the start menu as the way to launch apps and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, the only reason I wanted to bring it up is because, I mean, there are historical ties between Apple and Microsoft and stuff. And also, if you follow tech, you're going to be hearing about it. So I just thought, it's not necessarily the elephant in the room, but it's going to be a topic.
Yeah, well, I mean, Windows Mac will be till the end of time.
Yeah.
They'll be diametrically opposed.
My, I kind of switched from the Apple II generation to starting using PCs somewhere in high school. So that was like late 80s, early 90s. But even then, most like regular consumers, they weren't using Windows.
Right.
Like Windows there was no reason for you to run it unless you were like a business.
You mean before Windows 95?
Yes. And even then, it was Windows 3.1 or 3.11, whatever, the one they called Windows for Workgroups, where they built in networking and stuff that let you sort of get on the internet, and then you had a reason to run it and, browse the web and stuff. But yeah, Windows 95 was the big consumer push. That's when everybody was running Windows.
Yeah. So I have a question before we get into the show. All right. So Apple has, for as long as I've been using Apple, come out with a new operating system or an update every year. It was, 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, with some exceptions, but for the most part, why doesn't Windows do the same thing? Is it just because there's too many disparate machines and they can't get them on the same page?
They do, and it's more of a matter of naming, right? Like it has changed a million times over the year. Right. Every time there's some new product manager in charge of Windows, they decide to change up how they name it. So we're
95, 98, Millennium,
Windows 8.
Vista,
they skipped 9, just like Apple skipped iPhone 9,
right?
And then Windows 10 and Windows 11. We're in Windows 11, but we're in a version of Windows 11 called the Windows 11 like 2H, the second half of
2025.
2H20. Well, we're in the current versions like 2H24. I think, because it came out in the second half of 2024.
Right, okay. Yeah.
But it gets incremental updates, and then they have these big updates. So there'll be one that's like 2H25 or 1H26 or something like that. So the naming, it's all just Windows 11.
Right.
So it's kind of like if the last 3 Mac OS updates were all just called like Mac OS Santa Fe or something. They would never do a New Mexico thing, but something like that. And they were the same updates. They just didn't change the main name. So they're sticking with Windows 11, but it is getting those updates. They're just not naming them Windows 12, Windows 13, all these other things. And then after several years, there'll be a Windows 12 maybe, or some new product manager will be in charge of things, and they'll decide to change up the naming scheme again. It's just a mess with names, but they are getting the same kind of updates that macOS does, where you get smaller point updates that change little things, and then around once a year you get a big update that changes more things.
Okay, it's just always been, as someone who doesn't use Windows, it just seems like if they're going to copy anything from Apple, it should be that.
And it certainly doesn't have that regularity where it's always in the fall. It's always September, October. You get the big a big Mac update. The big Windows updates come roughly once a year, but they're never at the same time anymore. It's just all over the place. It's very confusing.
Yeah. I mean, they obviously have way more machines to support in different levels of RAM and memory and storage. Like Apple's knows what machines they're targeting with their updates. So
they have all that. They have to worry about big enterprise users that have tens of thousands of accounts where their users don't get the updates. The updates get pushed by their IT department.
Right.
And and they're all locked down and stuff. They have a lot of weird, complicated stuff like that going on.
All right. Roman, that was 3 minutes, right?
I was longer than 3 minutes. It's probably longer than anyone who's listening wants to hear about Windows. So thanks for humoring me, guys.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that.
All right. So we're done with the Windows stuff. So yeah, next week is Thanksgiving. We were trying to figure out what to talk about this week, and we said, let's just talk about what we're thankful for the past, 11 months of Apple. All right. Who wants to start? Anyone dying to go first? Because I can go first. I don't care.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm personally thankful for. It's not like I can point to a product and say I'm so glad they made this because most of these.
It was a quiet year, kind of.
And Apple's very much in a. I don't want to say a rut. It's a very successful rut, but the changes are very predictable and normal now.
Absolutely.
We got the most excited about them making a phone a little thinner. Like that's seriously what we consider like a big shakeup for Apple at this point. No, but I'm thankful for Apple TV. I think both the hardware, which is still hands down the best streaming TV,
and hasn't been updated in a while, and it still is.
Yeah. Like they keep giving it updates, and it's little features here and there, but like the main how it works is
I agree
there, and it's still the best. But the service has been very good.
Yeah,
it's had a very good year. I was talking to a friend of ours who, they're not a tech person or anything, but they were just talking about how they'll watch. Outside of like the nature documentary and kids stuff, like just the main shows, they'll watch pretty much anything Apple TV puts out, and it's pretty good. It's at least pretty good. Like sometimes some are great, but and so like this year, we haven't talked about all of them, but there's been plenty of things that are great, like Slow Horses and Pluribus we talked about and stuff.
I gotta watch Slow Horses. I've never watched it. I gotta put that on my list.
You do. But there's been a lot of little things that we just enjoy watching. We enjoyed that silly, completely made up Adventures of Dick Turpin thing. Like that's just an enjoyable little show to watch during lunch. Loot. We love watching Loot. Reluctant Traveler. We watch these things. What's that?
I like all the Snoopy specials that I can't watch anywhere else anymore.
Oh, yes. We're enjoying Platonic. We're enjoying what was the other Murderbot. There's just been plenty of good stuff this year
and Severance kind of took off.
Yeah, everybody knows about the big ones that take off, but there's a lot of ones that aren't big and don't take off that are just enjoyable to watch. They're just good shows.
It's a quality service as far as like I subscribe to Peacock and Paramount Plus. We had Netflix for a while, but we dropped it. But like, it's the one. So I'm not going to ever drop it because it's all tied to Apple One and stuff. But quality to quantity, Apple TV definitely is the top. Like, you could put on anything, and it's going to be, like I said, at least pretty good.
Yeah, I would say if you're trying to look at who has the best prestige TV shows, it's still like HBO.
Yeah.
If you want to look at who's got the most stuff, Netflix has the most stuff.
Right.
You're going to just watch it, but it's also by far the most expensive. But like that ratio to amount of stuff to quality of stuff, that sort of average quality level on Apple TV is just really, really high.
Right.
It's going to be a while before they have enough things to really just sort of challenge some of these bigger things. And I'm not happy with the price increases every year.
Yeah.
Every streaming service just decides, wouldn't you like to pay 20% more this year?
Yeah. It went from $10 to $13 a month in August, I want to say. And
every streaming service
that's a healthy increase.
Yeah. Every streaming service, seems like not much because it's like, well, it's only a couple bucks a month. But yeah, a couple bucks a month times 12 months.
Every year adds up. Yeah.
Every year adds up, and you're going to do it again next year.
And there are some months when you don't watch it. Like when you were paying for cable TV, there were a bunch of channels you obviously never touched.
Right.
But it didn't matter because you still got a value because you watched them. With these services, you kind of have to keep track. That's why I dropped Netflix, because I just wasn't watching enough per month to justify whatever it is, $25 a month. So like you got to kind of keep track of all these services and make sure that you're watching at least a little bit. But with Apple TV, for one, it's pretty cheap, certainly compared to Netflix, but even compared to other ones.
Yes.
And if you watch one or two shows a month, pick whatever you want. It's going to be entertaining and it's going to be, worth your time.
I'd say it's cheap for what you get. They have only the one plan, right?
Right.
It's outside of like I don't remember if you can still get an education discount or whatever.
I think you can. Yeah, I'm pretty sure
there's
a student price.
It's a student price, but it's still the one plan. Like everybody else offers like lower tiers where it's 1080p. Right. You don't get downloads. You don't get. Apple just goes like, look, it's just the one highest quality 4K HDR. They have really high bit rates. It's really, really good quality and downloads and family sharing. That's it. It's just the one plan. And the comparable plans for everybody else, the ones with family sharing and 4K and all that other stuff, are much more expensive. So it's still like, quote unquote, the cheap one. But it's also not the cheap one because they don't offer a low tier plan that's $8.99 that has like one 1080p stream and no downloads or whatever.
The quality is unsurpassed. Every show is 4K and top notch, and production values. Like there's no like subpar shows on Apple TV Plus. Like they're all fantastic as far as like the production value goes. So they're spending their money on delivering a quality product. You can argue with the script and the plot and all that stuff, but they're going to hire, some big name actress. They're going to get, a showrunner who's going to, stick with the show and not bail on it. And the camera work and the cinematography, all that stuff is excellent. Yeah,
the production values are going to be high, regardless of whether it's a bad show or not. So yeah, I'm thankful for that. And to your point about like, you have to keep track of the way to do it is to rotate. Every streaming service you have, no matter how many you like or don't like, just have it one out of every 2 or 3 months, 1 month on, 2 or 3 months off.
Sure.
And just catch up on the stuff you missed.
You got to pay attention to what you're subscribed to and what you're paying. And,
with Apple TV, like you said, it's part of Apple One. That's a good deal if you're like me and share it with, the full family sharing and stuff like that. It's a good deal. So,
And also when they increased the price to the monthly price, they didn't increase the Apple One price. So you're technically getting an even better value. So I'm just looking to circle back to the student thing. I assume this is still live. It says students save on Apple Music. So you can get Apple Music for $5.99 a month.
Yeah, that's been
and that includes access to Apple TV.
Huh. Interesting.
It says plus enjoy free access to Apple TV. Limited time offer, blah, blah, blah. So if that's still an offer, which it appears to be.
It probably doesn't have family sharing.
I would think
if that's the case. But other than that, it's your full
$6 a month for both of those. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Unless there's some fine print that says access to Apple TV. It's weird that they say free access to Apple. What do you mean access?
I don't know. That's literally what it says. It says free access. It says Apple TV Plus. They haven't updated this page with the new branding.
With the take the plus away. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what it says. Plus free access, and then the little footnote says limited time offer may end at any time. So I guess that's what access means. They can just pull it if they feel like it.
Right. Yeah. Free
Apple TV ends when you no longer qualify or do not review your Apple Music student subscription. So anyway, it's a good service.
Yeah, it's a good service. And while TV hardware is still good hardware. It's still great hardware, and runs the operating system. It runs great. tvOS is great.
Just a quick aside. Did you watch the latest episode of Pluribus last week?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I don't want to get. We will very.
Yeah, we won't give it any more.
I have so many questions. I still have so many questions. Oh my gosh!
And in true Vince Gilligan fashion, it's a very slow burn. The first couple episodes, you want to see what's happening. Like I wish they were all. If they were all there, I would have watched it all in one night. So,
yes.
You need to know answers, and they're kind of alluding to some and answering some, but not. And
I wouldn't characterize it as a slow burn. There's a million questions that we haven't quite, but a lot happens in each episode. There's a lot of sort of progressing the plot, progressing things happening. You get a lot of answers to things.
Sure. Yeah. I wouldn't say a lot.
Quickly.
Some answers, and then you get 4 more questions when you get an answer.
Right. Yeah. No, that's kind of the fun part of it. But
yeah. If it wasn't Gilligan, I'd be a little bit concerned, but he's so good at mapping these shows out and understanding plots and characters. Like my wife asked me that. She's like, because we've watched so many shows that just build all these questions. They set this thing up and then they just fall apart. And she's like, is this going to just let us down? I'm like, I would normally be worried about that, but he's so good. Like if you look at Breaking Bad and the way it was structured in the plot, he knows what he's doing. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing's mapped out already for 3 years. Like every episode,
he said in some interview that he, although it has not been greenlit for all this time, that he imagines a 4-year run.
Yeah. I'm sure it's greenlit. I mean, not publicly, but I'm sure Apple has said, "Listen, whatever you want to do."
I think every year that he has to earn the next season, maybe. But I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Right? I don't think so either. But the third episode, it was probably the first one was really good. The second one was really good. The third one was probably the one that was not as good, but it was still really, really good.
I don't know.
I liked it a lot. I would rank it third on those 3. And,
okay.
He likes to end they all end on not so much a cliffhanger, but you really want to watch the next episode. So it's
we don't want to turn this into Pluribus Cup podcast.
That's true. Yeah.
Tell us what you're thankful for.
All right. I'll go next. Sorry, Roman. if you were champing at the bit to go. So I'm thankful for value, which is a weird thing when you're talking about Apple, because they just came out with the $230 pocket thing that actually sold out in 12 seconds.
Right.
I was literally writing that story.
How many did they make?
Right. How many did they make? We don't know, but it's sold out in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when people think of Apple, that's what you think of. You think of $1,000 phones. You think of $3,000 Macs.
It's not the cheap brand.
Things like that.
And they cultivate that image.
Right. They're not trying to hide that at all. But this year, with all of the economic stuff going on, you would have thought Apple could have easily increased the price of an iPhone by $50. They didn't do that. Instead, the iPhone 17, same price, ton more stuff. You get the always on display and all the extra storage and all the things that, compared to last year, way more value for the same price. iPhone 16e, you can quibble with that a little bit, but the $599, and if you go to the carriers, they're generally free because of all the things they have. That's a good value. But the number one, hold on. Before I get to that, Apple Watch SE, same price, $250, but upgraded with a ton more stuff. Didn't change the price. Gave you the always on display. Gave you a temperature sensor.
Very much like the iPhone 17. They kind of checked the last few really important boxes on the cheap model, and it didn't raise the price. So that's great.
And the biggest one for me is the MacBook Air. Because not only did that it already had gotten more RAM the previous year, but it starts at 16 gigs of RAM now. But they also cut the price by $100 across the board. Every model got $100 price cut. So if you bought one in 2025, you're essentially getting $300 value over last year with the 16 gigs of RAM and the price cut. And these things, they kind of go under the radar. We reviewed the iPhone 60 and we criticized it a little bit because it has one camera and has the notch. But Apple is still trying to deliver a phone that's good enough, more than good enough. That's a solid value for people who can't afford or don't want to afford $800, $900, or $1,000 for a for a phone. I think that's admirable, especially, they're dealing with tariffs, they're dealing with currency fluctuations, they're dealing with inflation, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And they've either kept their prices the same and added more to it, or they cut the price in the case of the MacBook Air.
I feel like there's this interesting dichotomy going on where there's that, and then there's things like the iPhone Air, which is not a bad product, but it's not a product that should cost more than the iPhone 17. Right. Like, it's not $1,000 good phone. It's a $800 good phone. Like, if you had to make that trade-off of, it's the same price as this other phone, but it's thinner and larger, but you have less battery and only one camera. It's like, okay, well, you make that trade-off. But no, it's like, and it's $200 more. Right. It's like, well, no, right. And that's hardly. And then there's like Vision Pro and all these other things that just still cost a ton. But then there's this other side where they're doing a lot of the sort of bottom of the stack. They're improving them a lot, and they're not charging more, where a lot of people are charging more these days. And it's creating, there's a lot of value there. And of course, we hear about that new low-cost MacBook that
I was going to bring that up. We
might be on the cusp of,
That's the next thing that, like this whole value proposition. And, Jason's right. There is an Apple tax. The iPhone Air, I bought it. I love it. But he's right. It's not $1,000 phone. It's an $800 phone with the $1,000 price tag. And you're paying for the engineering and the marketing and everything else. Mm-hmm. And, but it used to be where people said like Apple stuff was just more expensive because there's an Apple logo on it. And that's not really the case anymore. There are those things like the Vision
there are
Pro,
those things.
like the iPhone Air, like the iPad Pro. Like those products exist in Apple's lineup. But for every iPad Pro, there's also a $349 iPad that's just as good for most people.
And it is still true that they just don't play in the cheap end of the pool, right? Like they don't make $49 wireless earbuds. They don't make $299 phones. They're not going to. They don't want to do that. They don't think they can make a good enough product that way, and that's fine. They don't do that. But the bottom of the stack for every sort of category, Mac and iPhone and AirPods, all those things, are all very good and not unreasonably priced.
Right. And Apple doesn't play in that, the super cheap pool because I think they would be delivering a product that was super cheap and isn't going to have the longevity. So they could make a pair of $40 AirPods, but they're going to break it a year, or they're going to not hold their battery in a year and a half or something like that. So, there's a difference between cheap and affordable.
Right.
And so the new MacBook that I really hope is a real thing that comes out sometime next year and not one of those rumors that gets pushed off every year. Like, if they can deliver a $599 or a $699 MacBook, I mean, that's unheard of in Apple land.
Right. That actually is a good MacBook. That would be tremendous. If it's $599, they'll sell so many. They won't be able to make enough of them.
I would buy that just to have a cheap laptop that I can throw around in my living room. Because I have a MacBook Pro.
What do you do to your laptop?
Come on. I mean, we all like, I carry them.
I wish I could throw this laptop. It's just too darn expensive.
Something that I don't have to baby in the sense that, like, wow, this is really expensive.
You don't feel like
it's going to cost me a lot of money. But it's nice to see, and I think it goes unappreciated that Apple does try to deliver value at a price that's not going to destroy your budget.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, are you also thankful for the emoji game?
I love that thing. I played. I used to play Wordle every day. I haven't played that in a while. Then I was hooked on Connections for a while. Those are New York Times games. But I swear, the first thing I do in the morning is play that stupid emoji game. I love it. It's tons of fun.
I tried it and I couldn't have it. It didn't grab me. I always, when there's one I can't get and I see what the solution is, I go that was dumb. Right. I get mad. Where I don't feel like that with Connections. I just feel like I wasn't clever enough to get it. Like
some of the connections are pretty dumb.
Yeah, they can be, but I always feel like they're tough but fair. But with the emoji one, I always feel like I would never have used any kind of emoji that way. Like it doesn't make sense to me what they were going for.
It took me a while to like train my brain to think in that way. Like it's a different type of puzzle game, but I do like it. Did that come out? It did come out this year. I should have added that to my thing, Roman. Thank you. And just one more thing on the value. iOS 26 introduced all this new stuff, the liquid glass stuff, and they only lost 3 models: iPhone XS or XS and the 10R. You know, they could have chopped off the 11. They could have chopped off even the 12, and people wouldn't have S13, 14, 15 said like that's still plenty of coverage. But they kept 5 to 6 years worth of support.
Historically, that's what they do, and it's really good. And of course, once your phone is older than that, like honestly, it's probably your battery's probably struggling by that point. But if it's not like it stops working if you can't update to the latest OS. All your apps are still working. Everything's still working. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's me. Roman, what are you thankful for? What I'm thankful for mostly, I've actually talked about this on the show before. This year I have the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and I have a newfound appreciation for the Pro Max phones because last year I had a 16 Plus, and it was a good phone, but I came to the realization that it didn't have the features that I needed specifically more for the camera because I take a lot of pictures and videos and stuff, and the way I shoot depends on like focus a lot or zoom, not focus, zoom a lot. Yep. So, and then I was hampered on the Plus phone, and then I switched to the Pro Max, and it was kind of like a revelation of not just having a good tool, but also realizing how I do things. It's kind of funny how you just kind of keep doing the same thing over and over again, and sometimes you don't recognize how you actually do them. And so, it gave me insight as to how I shoot videos and photography, videos and photos. So, it felt like it reopened a whole new world for me. The 17 Pro Max. So
that's how I feel about the Pro phones. Is that I feel like there's far more often where I just feel like I can get a good shot. Like I open it up and I'm like, I may have to tap around with the zoom, but I can get the shot I'm going for. Whereas so many other phones, I'm like, oh, I gotta let me move. Like I have to work around the phone instead of just knowing I can get the shot. And that's kind of what I miss about when I don't use a Pro iPhone. Is I always miss that ability to just like I take out my phone and wherever I'm at, I'm going to get the shot that I'm going for. Yeah. It's going to be fine.
Yeah. And, I'm by no means a pro photographer or anything like that. But, when you have to think less about the tool you're using, it helps a lot. So that's, and there are other things about this phone that I really like. This is the first phone in a while, not just because of the 16 Plus perspective, that I sat there and went, damn, this is a good phone. This is a really good phone.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for this phone because it feels like it's helped me do a lot more than what I it's a great tool. That's
what I always hated about the Plus phones is like you had that downside of it being big and honky. Like it's it's like how it doesn't fit my pocket well and all those other kinds of things. But without all the benefits of but it has a massive battery and it has all the 3 cameras and it has all the other stuff. So if you're going to go big, get the Pro Max.
Well, it was $300 or $400 less.
Yeah, sure, but it's still $1,000. If you can afford $1,000 phone once every several years, you could.
Are you thankful for cosmic orange? Because I know that's the color you have.
I do like the orange. I do like it. Although I if it was another color, I don't think I'd sit there and go, oh, I wish it was orange. If it was the blue, it's nice. I like orange. But it's a clear case. I have a clear case on it, so you can still see the orange.
Oh, you can. It's very orange.
So yeah. So, and it's a super thin, or not super thin, but it's a thin case because it's already big enough. So.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I have the same reaction to the phone this year, but to the Air, because like I swear I think I'm the only one who feels this way. But like I don't miss the camera. So I had the Plus also, and before that I had the Pro. So I had the first year with the zoom lens, then I switched to the Plus, and now I have the Air. So I went 3-2-1 in cameras, and I guess I don't take that many pictures because I don't miss the camera at all. But when I use my son has a 17, my wife has I think it's a 15 Pro. And when I use one of their phones, like I miss being able to, like, this is the first phone I've had in years that I can use with one hand because it's so thin. I can slide it up and down my hand. I just really like the Air design a lot. I would buy it again in a second. Like I actually bought it. Like this isn't an Apple review unit. Like I paid for it, and I happily paid for it. I think it's somewhat underappreciated, and that maybe you have to use it for a couple of weeks to get the whole idea behind it. But I think it's fantastic, and I don't like if I wouldn't go to the Pro next year because of the way I can use this phone. Although I would get the folding phone, so that kind of blows my argument out of the water. So
you don't have any problem with the battery life?
Not really. I can generally get to about, I don't know, 8:30 or something, and I'm like 10%. So I plug it in for 20 minutes, and
See, that would drive me nuts. I'm plugging in every day.
I do. It's not every day.
I got to go plug in.
Out of a week, it's probably at some point during the day. So if I'm driving, I'll throw it on the
car charger. Yeah.
If I'm at the desk, like right now, it's on the little charger. Like I've kind of instinctively started doing that, so it lasts. But if I don't, on like a weekend or something, by like 8 o'clock, I'm in the red, and by like 9 o'clock, I'm getting close to like it's going to die.
Yep.
So yeah, that is an issue, and the camera thing's an issue too. I understand it's not for everybody. It's not really for most people. But if this was a thing, like I dropped my phone so many times because I tried to get to a stupid thing in the top left corner and I missed it, and then it fell out of my head. Like I'm not even kidding. Like that happened like at least 3 or 4 times, and twice where it like broke. So it's a thing that I do, and now I can do it.
To me, I've been using the Air a lot as well, and it's not the one I would choose to purchase. But I agree with you that the form factor of it is just super top notch. Yeah. Like it's the combination of its thinness, but also that its size is in between the smaller iPhone and the big iPhone. It's to me the right screen size in terms of being big enough for my stupid old eyes to read things, but also like not so big that you can't put it in your pocket and stuff. In fact, because it's so thin and the way the corners are rounded and stuff like that, it kind of disappears in your pocket.
Sure.
If you're a man and actually have pockets in your pants, because they don't put pockets on women's pants for some reason. Like you can just put it in your pocket and you kind of forget it's there.
Yeah. Like there are times when I'll check, I do that like the pocket tap thing to make sure it's still in my pocket. Yeah.
Right. And
it's true.
Certainly haven't had that with an iPhone in a while. And certainly not one with a larger screen than the smaller one. So yeah, I'm with you on the form factor. I really miss the battery life, and I like Roman with the camera.
Yeah,
you discover how often the multiple cameras prevented you from having to work around the phone, and now that they're gone, I'm working around the phone again. I'm like, well, let me move, let me get over here, and let me line up my shot.
I get it.
It's stuff that I just don't. I liked not having to do that.
Yeah. The only thing I use my camera for is like streaming baseball games. I just don't take that many pictures. All right. So that's what we're thankful for. Like we said earlier, send us an email, we can do this again in December if you have comments. We could talk about things we're thankful for after Thanksgiving. It's fine. And here's to 2026. Okay. So next week is Black Friday. It's really been Black Friday for like the last 2 weeks. If you haven't noticed,
yes.
There's sales all over the place, but we're just going to run through real quick. I mean, I don't know if you guys have like deals that you've seen or things you want to talk about. I'm going to call it what we're buying, but I'm not actually buying the thing that I'm talking about. I'm just going to talk about a deal that I saw and like why it's a good deal. So over at Walmart, and again, disclaimer, like it might be gone by the time you hear this. I don't know. But Walmart's selling the AirPods Pro 2 for $139, brand new, which is just a ridiculously good price for those. That normal price was obviously $249. You can get them for about $200 these days if you can find stock. But
right,
$139.
Yeah, they've kind of been replaced by the 3.
By the 3, yeah, which is $249. But $139. First of all, that's only $100 more than the AirPods 4, which are, good. But the Pro 2 is way better. You get all the hearing stuff and all those features that came with it. And $139. I can't recommend it enough. If you're looking for a pair of noise canceling high-end earbuds, just a ridiculously good price, even though they're older, because you can get so many features that you can get with the AirPods Pro 3, basically all of them. The translation stuff and like you can get all of those software features with this model for $110 less than you're going to pay for the AirPods Pro 3. Jason, you tested both. Would you recommend, like, is that your recommendation?
I mean, normally I would say it's worth paying more for the 3, but that price difference, because the 3s are not really on sale right now. And that's such a price cut that I would say that's a pretty good deal. You go for that. I do recommend someone gets the foam tips or something. If they have the 2s, go get a pair of, foam tips to replacement ear tips. But for $20, but yeah, that's the kind of good enough deal that you can say, yeah, you can buy the last model.
Yeah.
I wonder if there will come a time when you'll get stuff that's only for the 3s, but since they still have the H2 chip, I'm kind of thinking maybe not. I think maybe it won't be. So yeah,
unless
there's
Apple,
other little things
about.
Yeah, there's little things about the tracking being better in the case and stuff like that. There's little things with the 3, and the sound quality is definitely better, but it's like we're talking about like twice the price kind of thing. So
I've seen some people on YouTube videos that argue that the 2 sounds better than the 3. So it's all very subjective as far as sound quality goes.
Yeah,
the 2 is still very good, even if even if you find the 3 to be superior, they're fantastic as far as that goes. Battery life is very good. Like, you're just getting a really solid pair of high-end earbuds for a mid-range price. Hopefully it's still available by the time you hear this. Do you guys have any, because I can go to like other things that I've seen, but do you guys have any deals that you want to mention that you've seen?
To me, the kind of standout deal other than that was that their M4 MacBook Airs are
I was going to
really
talk
cheap
about that too.
on Amazon right now, because there's, we're all looking forward to M5s. But M4, like if in a MacBook Air, this is not the machine where you're like, I need the absolute best performance. This is not a MacBook Pro. There's no hint that the next MacBook Air is going to suddenly give you like the OLED display or anything like that. That's a ways away, so you're not really missing out on much. And they're like $250 off the normal price.
Across the board, any size, any configuration, or either size.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and get the more storage, maybe more RAM if you think you need more than 16, and pay a lot less for it.
Yep.
That's what I think would be a good deal.
$750 for the base model is ridiculously good. But even if you want to jump to like 1049 and get 24 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage, like it's really getting a really good computer that's going to last you for a long, long time.
Yeah. And
so that's great.
We often see MacBook Airs on sale. We rarely see them that much on sale.
Right.
So yeah, that's my sort of pick. It's also kind of one of my favorite Apple products. I feel like, for me, I like the 13-inch size, but like that 13-inch Air size is really the sweet spot in terms of performance and just portability, able to just like carry it around, open it up, use it wherever, not feel like I'm lugging around a big heavy thing. So,
and just one more, and it might go lower on Black Friday. I don't know, but the Apple Watch SE3 is $200 on Amazon, which like for $250, that's like we would recommend the Apple Watch SE probably over the other two models at this point. If you've waited this long to buy an Apple Watch, it's a good entry level model, and it's also a good upgrade from like a 4 or a 5. But for $200, like you're getting an always on display, a great design, a really decent size screen, temperature, heart rate sensor, really good battery life. Like it's just, the list goes on and on and on. It's a fantastic value. And, unless you really want an EKG or you really want blood oxygen, like it's pretty close to the Series 11 as far as what it can do.
Yeah. And the EKG is so limited in the Apple Watch. Like that, there's a lot of countries that don't have it because of regulatory issues, but that whole single lead thing, like you can go buy better EKG. Like my wife has a little portable EKG you put your thumbs on, but you can also put it on your knee to get it back, and it gets like a multiple read, and it's way better. And it's like $100 thing you buy. Like, and if you really care about having an EKG test available to you often, I would suggest do something like that. The blood oxygen's nice, and that can give you some warnings. But most of this other stuff, it's like the next place you need to jump is the Ultra if you need that durability and that super battery life and stuff like that. Like it's at that price, it seems like the SE3 is worth getting over the Series 11 for most people.
Yep. And like for kids, teenagers, like it's just it's a great device to have.
Yeah, track your kids. Yeah,
right. It's funny. I use that. Like my he's 14.
Yeah.
And last week he was on was it a school trip? I don't remember. He was somewhere. And we were like, we looked at the little Find My app to see where he was and when he'd be home. It doesn't have to be creepy to be ustle.
Right. And it's not like you're stalking them unannounced. They know they were wearing this thing on their wrist, and you can tell where it is. Like, it's not like what they're doing or anything. It's just like, oh, they're on their way back. I can go pick them up now. Right.
Exactly.
It makes life easier that way.
Right. Once he gets a little older, I'll be tracking you right now just to see when he's coming home. All right, Roman, your turn. Unless you have a deal you want to talk about, we're going to pass it off to you for This Week in Apple History.
Okay. This week in Apple history, it's closer to last week in Apple history. November 12th, 1996, Apple announced that it was going to open a chain of cyber cafes.
Apple Cafe.
Yeah, they were called Apple Cafe, and they came out with some artwork where we put it on the website if you want to check them out. The renders that they had of it, they're very 90s looking. I think they were kind of called like a cross between Planet Hollywood and a cyber cafe.
Wait, they serve food?
Yeah, it was going to be like a whole venue, kind of like entertainment center.
This was before my time with. I'm looking at the picture. Oh my goodness!
They had partners lined up and everything.
Yeah,
I love this week in history because this is the kind of thing you need to explain what the world was like in the 90s for people to understand this. Because, all right, first of all, where Apple was. This is in the years before when Jobs was gone. Well, this was when Jobs was gone, and when he came back in 97, and he killed this project before it launched, but mostly because he had they were working on plans for the Apple stores.
Right.
But Apple had a big problem with visibility in stores. They didn't have their own stores.
Right.
And so
CompUSA was where I got my first Mac from.
People would go to CompUSA or God, what was that other store that's not around anymore?
Circuit City.
Circuit City, right? Something like that to get by computers. And Macs were like off on some shelf somewhere. They weren't very visible. This was before the new iMac came out and with the Bondi Blue and everything, and everybody was really excited about that.
Right.
So that was number one. They had a visibility problem. So you would go into a cafe. Cyber cafes were a big thing, and there would be Apple's on Macs on every desk, and they'd have this sort of video conferencing thing where you could talk to people at other tables on the screens. This was something people were really excited about in the 90s for some reason. Like, he's right over there, but I want to talk to him on my little screen right here.
Well, we do that
without getting up and going over there. Like, he's just right at the other table, but I want to talk to him on my screen. Like, people thought that would be amazing. But cyber cafes were also just this moment in time where they were everywhere because you had dial-up internet and people were still on AOL and stuff like that. The regular open web was just coming around, but at home you had dial-up and it was painful and slow. Mm-hmm. So there was all these things where like, get some coffee and use a computer somewhere where they have a fast hardwired connection that was fast and get a lot more done. And it was worth doing. And by 10 years later, we were just entering the smartphone era. People's home connections were cable modems and they were fast again. It's like the whole concept of needing computers at every desk was completely defunct by 10 years from then. And it was not worth having. And so cyber cafes were everywhere for a decade and then they were gone.
I just went to the Wayback Machine from May 30th, 1997, and there was an applecafe.com.
Yes. They had that. They had locations picked out. They were going to start in LA, New York, London, and Tokyo, but they had plans to go elsewhere. It was just like Apple stores were going to be, but not about being a store. It was about being like a cafe and getting to experience Apple products, which was a real problem. People did not get hands-on with a Mac very often. So you would just get to go and hang out and it would be nice.
Looking at the renders, I'd go to one of these things now.
Well, these are just like artist drawings. This is what they do today where they take a CAD file of the actual layouts and draw. These are just like imaginings. They're neat looking, but they wouldn't actually end up looking quite like that.
I mean, it's not all that dissimilar from an Apple store. If an Apple store also served coffee and food,
it's like an Apple store and a Starbucks smashed up. That's the other thing that didn't happen. That's the other thing, sort of in the 90s and early 2000s when cyber cafes were everywhere. This was pre-Starbucks. Just McDonald's buying coffee for the whole world and being everywhere and being homogenized. Like cafes were individual places, or maybe you had a little regional chain. And so they were all unique and different. Coffee shops were like you'd watch friends go to Central Park and you'd be like, I want to do that. I want to hang out in a coffee shop with no fourth wall and talk with my friends. Like it was... So, it was like a whole completely different world that just completely disappeared when Starbucks took over all of coffee and internet got good enough and laptops and Wi-Fi got good enough that nobody needed to go somewhere to use a computer. Like it was everybody who was invested in cyber cafes, and there were places that had plans on chains like that they wanted to be, they wanted 1,000 cyber cafes all across the country.
Yeah.
This was the thing. And all those people just lost everything when technology just obsoleted the idea completely.
I mean, I think it goes unappreciated. Like Steve Jobs gets credited for inventing, and he did a fantastic job with that. But the thing that he didn't do, 1,000 nodes for every yes, had he poured a bunch of money into this concept, I mean, Apple could have gone bankrupt. Based on these renderings, this store is massive. It's like 15,000 square feet, and it would have cost millions to build. by the time they build it, as Jason just pointed out, like no one would have gone because
it had a 5-year. These things would have a 5-year run,
Right.
But they had to build it, so by the time they built it, it's a 2-year run.
No, I mean after they built it, I think Cyber Cafes kind of disappeared in the early 2003s, 4s, that kind of time, But more importantly, like solving the problem of more people need visibility on Macs and stuff like that was much better handled by making the iMac.
Yeah, and also the stores, like people gave Steve Jobs a ton of crap for, like when the first Apple store opened. They're like, this is ridiculous. No one's going to go there. And
yeah, you just need to build a lot more of them. Right. But even when the first Apple stores came, it took a long time before you were close. You lived close to one, like for most people. But you could. When you go down to right. Well, I mean, just most people. Most people did not live close to an Apple store for years.
Yeah, the first one was in Virginia, I think. The second one was I went to the one in New Jersey. That was relatively close to my house. But yeah, you're right. They were few and far between, but it didn't take long for them to expand to, within 50 miles of most people.
But more importantly, like a CompUSA and Circuit Cities and all those other places wanted to put an iMac, the Bondi Blue iMacs up front. Right. They were cool looking and there were cool TV ads and stuff like that. So they were up. That solved the visibility problem completely.
Right.
And turned things around. Yeah. All the things Steve Jobs killed when he came in was easily as important as the new products they released. Yeah.
Well, I want to go to an Apple Cafe. Isn't Roman, you've been to Apple Park. Isn't that called Apple Cafe or something? Like they're like food service place?
So there's two things. So there's an app when you go work for Apple.
Okay.
You can order lunch from the, company cafeteria, and I think the app is called Cafe Max or Apple Cafe or something like that. It is called that.
Okay.
And then at Apple Park, there is an Apple store, and that store has a coffee shop connected to it, and it is called the Apple Cafe.
Have you?
I don't know if it's officially called the Apple Cafe. I don't recall seeing like a sign saying Apple Cafe. I think people just refer to it as the Apple Cafe.
Yeah. This says Cafe Max. I'm looking at.
Or maybe it's Cafe Max. Right. Maybe that's what it is.
A long time ago. Have you had the coffee there? Is it any good?
I've not had the coffee there, but usually what happens is at WWDC, they close off Cafe Max and make that the press area. So all the media people go hang out there, and they give you food. And the food's good.
But it's not the same thing they would have day to day there, right?
Right.
So
day to day, it's a coffee shop, and you can go and get a latte while you're waiting for your
meeting.
Waiting for your meeting or something like that. Yeah.
I'm looking on. There's a Yelp.
There's a Yelp
listing for Cafe Max. Yeah,
that's funny.
I guess 3.5 stars.
I've never had the coffee there, but yeah. I mean,
there's a couple of photos of like lattes, and they look good enough.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
People like it costs too much. Like, well, whatever, man.
Yeah. Maybe it does.
Welcome to California. Welcome to the Bay Area.
Too, yeah, right. You go to like Blue Bottle coffee, it costs a fortune too. But it's, all right. Anyway, as done. Is that it for Cafe Max? I would go to one if there was one to go. It actually reminds me a little bit of the Tesla. It's like a Tesla restaurant in LA.
Right.
Kind of sounds like that concept.
Yeah. They opened a diner.
Diner.
Like it's kind of a drive-in diner. It's failing in spectacular ways. They've already chopped the menu down to almost nothing.
Oh, is that
all
true?
the neighbors are super pissed about the noise. It's just a disaster.
Yeah.
But
where is it? It's in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you haven't been there. Like my concept of California is like
no, LA is like
20 minutes
a
of each other.
5-hour drive. For it's not. I am
Yeah.
nowhere near. California's big, and I'm not near it.
Okay, Roman. Reader inbox mailbag.
So now it's time for inbox, mailbag, whatever you want to call it, your comments. The comment. We have a couple of emails this week. I guess in response to last week's podcast, a listener by the name of Bruce had some thoughts on the iPhone Pocket, the popular iPhone Pocket. He wrote, the people who buy them often seem like they like to have their whole outfit from shoes to handbag from the same designer or coordinated from different designers whose clothes they think go together. Yeah. Although the same people might gravitate towards the iPhone because it is the most prestigious, I think it would be more interesting in having it coordinate with their outfit rather than because it is the best performing phone. I guess his point is it's, fashion.
Apple is a fashionable brand. It always has been.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that the sock is a fashion product, not a practical like iPhone carrying device. It's more about having a fashion product.
Right. And there's a whole like contingent of people that, put a ton of thought into what they wear and how they look, and they don't wear the same thing twice. And, the iPhone Pocket, they probably bought one in several colors so they can mix and match it with different things like that. Those people exist.
That phrase I just said, Jason, the sock is a fashion product. I find that very amusing.
It's a pocket, not a sock.
Yes, the sock was the iPod sock.
Yeah. This last email says, a listener named William, he wanted us to know, quote, with respect to applications still utilizing Rosetta, I can tell you one, it's Toast 20 by Roxio.
Oh, I remember Toast.
Yeah. Oh, he's burning DVDs.
Yes, this is the DVD making software that was released in 2021, 2022, or maybe even earlier.
No, it was
in 2023.
Earlier than that.
Yeah.
Toast 20 was probably in 2021 or something.
Right.
But,
But Toast itself goes way back.
Yeah, it goes way back.
And he says, I am probably the only user in the world.
They've got to have, I imagine they've got a USB DVD burner drive because when was the last time a Mac shipped with a DVD?
SuperDrive. They stopped making that, but they made it for a long time. External DVD.
Any internal drive. I mean, they've got to have an external drive because any internal drive on a Mac predates a Mac that can run the current versions of Mac OS or would use Rosetta or anything like that. So.
Yeah,
but hey, it works. But this person didn't say it stopped working, though, right? They're still using it,
right? It sounds like they're still using it. Yeah,
works great.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Go Rosetta team. This is what it's for. This is the idea.
William is thankful for Roxio.
Does Roxio still exist? I guess not. Or did they make?
Oh God, good question. That's a good question. Having not looked it up at all, I'm willing to bet they got bought by somebody.
I think they're probably still around.
No, there's Roxio. I mean, I don't know if they're bought, but they do exist. They have a Black Friday sale on Creator 9.
Right, because they mostly make their money off of Windows software. So
and they make Toast 20 titanium. So
it's still calling it 20. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Sonic.
But I guess it's not.
Acquired Roxio. Huh.
So I'm looking up. So the minimum system requirements for Roxio 20 is a Mac with an M1 chip or an Intel processor. So they do support it in some way, but I guess not natively.
It's not native, yeah.
They're currently owned by Corel. There was a bunch of
we know.
They got bought by somebody who bought somebody else, and then Rovi Corporation bought them, and then they sold them off to Corel. And according to Wikipedia, they're currently owned by Corel, which that's another name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah. Corel owns a bunch of software developers.
They were Paint Shop or Paint Pro or something.
Yeah, there were art things that Corel Draw and stuff like that. Paint Shop Pro and all that stuff way back in the day.
I think they bought Parallels.
Oh, no way.
Oh, that's a thing people still use today.
I might be wrong on that, but I thought they did. So I should check that. But before, like it matters to people. But
come on, this is riveting stuff.
Who owns Parallels?
But Parallels is still kind of like its own company. But Yeah. Anyways.
All right. That does it for this episode of the Macworld Podcast, episode number 960. Thank you to Jason Cross.
Thank you.
Thanks to Roman Loyola.
Thank you.
And thanks to you, the audience, for dealing with the Carell and Roxio talk at the end of this episode. You can subscribe to the Macworld Podcast in the podcast app, Spotify, YouTube, and the Macworld Podcast channel, or through any other podcast app. If you have comments or questions, do you still use Parallels or Toast? Let us know. Contact us through Blue Sky, Facebook, Threads. Search for Macworld. Look for the Blue Mouse logo. Send us an email, podcast@macworld.com. Check out our TikTok page, reply under that, because you can find us through a bunch of different ways. And you can join us in the next episode of the Macworld Podcast, which will not be next week, but in 2 weeks, as we talk about the latest in the world of Apple. See you next time.